5-6 to ready. Shots fired at the police. Are you good?
On September 20th, 2021, Houston police officers rolled out before sunrise. The mission was clear: serve a high-risk arrest warrant. The target, 31-year-old Dion Ledet, a repeat offender with an extensive criminal history.
Ma'am? Where's Dion? Is he awake? Dion, step out here. Is he awake?
Ma'am.
Ma'am. Yeah, step out here.
I got kids.
Okay. Dion, step on out here. You got to take care of some warrants.
The officers assigned were from the Major Offenders Division, experienced, tactical. They knew the risks, but this was their job. By 7:30 a.m., they were in position outside Ledet's residence.
Dion, it's Houston Police. You need to step out here.
Officer William Bill Jeffrey led the approach. At 54 years old, he was a veteran with more than 30 years on the force. At his side was Sergeant Michael Vance, standing just a few steps back for support.
You got eyes on him?
No, I do not.
Is Dion inside?
You need to step out. It's Houston Police.
Is Dion inside? Is he upstairs?
He's right here.
Right here? It's supposed to be right here.
Supposed to be right here.
Dion.
Body camera footage shows Officer Jeffrey knocking on the front door. A woman answered, calm, composed. Jeffrey explained they had a warrant for Ledet and asked if he was inside. The woman was escorted out. For a brief moment, everything looked routine.
Are these your stairs right here? Is he up on
Dion,
stairs?
it's Houston Police. You need to step out here.
Hold on.
Come on.
Are there guns in there?
But then the door cracked open again, and chaos erupted.
Dion, it's Houston Police. Let's do this thing.
Hold on. Give me cover. Give me cover.
Ledet was waiting with a gun. He opened fire at point-blank range. The sound of rapid gunshots filled the entryway. Officer Jeffrey, standing directly in front of the doorway, was hit immediately. The impact dropped him where he stood.
Dion, it's Houston Police. Let's do this thing.
Sergeant Vance, positioned just behind him, was struck too. He fell to the ground, wounded, and crawled away from the line of fire. His voice could be heard on the footage, strained but clear, calling out that he had been hit.
Dion, it's Houston Police. Let's do this thing.
God! Oh, shit. Oh, fuck me. No, I'm hit. I'm hit.
Officers scrambled for cover as bullets ripped through the entryway. They returned fire in controlled bursts, pushing back against Ledet's barrage. The air filled with shouting, gunfire, and the desperate calls of officers trying to take control of a deadly situation. Through the chaos, the body cameras recorded it all. Jeffrey lying motionless near the doorway. Vance fighting to stay conscious as fellow officers rushed to pull him out of harm's way.
Five clear, let me get loaded and fuel.
Okay, who might track vehicle need to check right? Like, you're tracking a 2016 GMC, brown color. At a convenience store, callers waiting in the red Jeep.
All right, ready?
Five clear.
Ledet kept shooting until he was fatally struck in the exchange. Officers pressed forward, weapons raised, securing the residence and neutralizing the threat. In just a few seconds, what began as a warrant service had exploded into a violent firefight, and the cameras captured the exact moment when everything changed. Case number 2. On May 29, 2025, Chicago police officers were on patrol. It started as a simple investigatory stop. Nothing unusual, just routine.
Stop resisting! Stop reaching! Stop fucking reaching!
But the man they stopped wasn't about to stick around. 19-year-old Nathaniel Fajarang. As soon as officers approached, Fajarang bolted, took off running. The chase began instantly, weaving through streets and alleys as officers shouted for him to stop.
Joel, stop resisting! Stop reaching! Stop fucking reaching!
Do not reach! Do not reach!
Give me your hands! Stop reaching!
Watch my
Hey,
hands.
bro, give me your hands!
I got shot in my head.
Give me your hands!
The pursuit didn't last long. Officers closed the distance and tried to bring him down. Commands rang out. Stop. Get on the ground. But Fajarang kept fighting. A struggle erupted as they wrestled to get control.
I got light.
Stop reaching!
Stop reaching!
Hey,
man.
Stop!
Then it happened. A single shot cracked through the scuffle. An officer went down clutching his leg. He had been hit. In the chaos, another officer drew and fired, striking Fajarang. The entire scene shifted from a foot chase to a life-or-death fight in seconds.
I'm trying to
Andrew, stop! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Granted call!
Backup swarmed in. The wounded officer was pulled out of the struggle. Despite the pain, he was still alert, still conscious, giving quick updates as fellow officers moved to secure the scene. Paramedics rushed in to stabilize him on the spot.
256-380, got one offender down, got one weapon recovered. Oh my God! A timestamp for the tourniquet squad.
Meanwhile, Fajarang lay on the ground. Officers recovered a gun near him. Proof of just how quickly things had spiraled from a simple stop to an armed confrontation.
Hey, dude, I shot him right here, bro. I shot him in the neck and in the head, bro. He had a gunshot.
My radio's not working.
The officer who was shot was transported to the hospital, treated, and released later that day. Fajarang, however, was pronounced dead after being taken from the scene. It all unfolded in a matter of moments. A 19-year-old running from police, a foot chase, a sudden burst of violence, and a split-second decision that changed everything. Case 3. On May 10, 2021, at about 5 p.m., San Luis Obispo police officers arrived at an apartment complex on Camellia Court. They weren't there by chance. They were serving a search warrant for 35-year-old Edward Giron, a man suspected in a string of late-night commercial burglaries that had rattled the city over the past week.
You haven't had your camera on this whole time? Police department, search warrant, open the door, we're gonna force entry.
The operation was by the book. 6 officers in total. They knocked. They announced. They followed California's knock and notice rule, making it clear they were law enforcement and that they had legal grounds to enter. But silence hung in the air. No answer. No movement. Minutes passed, tension building with every second. Then, with no response from inside, officers forced the door open.
Edward, come out here.
That's when it happened. The first shot rang out almost instantly. Giron hadn't been asleep or caught off guard. He had been waiting, laying in ambush. His weapon was already aimed at the entryway.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
The bullet struck Detective Luca Benedetti, a veteran officer standing at the point of entry. He went down immediately. The body camera footage doesn't show the exact moment. The department chose to redact it, replacing the impact with a black square on the screen. But the sound, the sudden eruption of gunfire, made it clear what had taken place. Officers scrambled for cover. The narrow entryway became a death trap as multiple rounds came from inside the apartment. Flashlights flickered across the hallway. Shouts filled the air. Commands to return fire, to fall back, to find cover. Guerin stayed concealed, firing from his position deep inside. The officers outside the door tried to see where he was, but the angle and darkness made it nearly impossible. Each time they moved, more shots came out.
Are you okay, Steve?
Hit in the head and arm.
The gunfight wasn't long, but it was intense. Dozens of rounds were exchanged in those seconds. Bullets cracked into walls and door frames, echoing through the apartment building. For the officers, there was no time to think. Only react, only survive. At one point, Guerin's position went quiet. Officers used that brief pause to regroup and drag one of their own to safety. Benedetti had been hit badly. His fellow officers pulled him away from the line of fire while others kept their weapons trained on the doorway, anticipating another volley.
You good?
I think so. He came out, he pointed his gun at me.
I'm copying headcount 4223. Response.
Inside, Guerin remained out of sight. Officers outside braced for the possibility that he might push forward, that he might try to take them all down before they could respond. The exchange continued in bursts, short silences, then sudden explosions of gunfire. Each time, officers ducked lower, firing back toward the apartment, still unable to see their suspect clearly. The standoff reached a breaking point. With the entryway too dangerous to push forward and Guerin unwilling to come out, the operation shifted from an arrest attempt to a desperate fight for survival. By then, the entire block had become a crime scene. Residents had scattered. Officers from across the city rushed to reinforce the perimeter. What had started as a simple warrant service had turned into one of the most violent confrontations the San Luis Obispo Police Department had ever faced. Case number 4. On the night of October 21st, 2015, Albuquerque police officer Daniel Webster pulled over a motorcyclist near Central Avenue in Eubank. It was supposed to be a routine traffic stop.
Hands up. Get your hands up. Hands up!
I got you, officer. Why are you stepping on my foot, sir? Sorry.
That motorcyclist was 35-year-old David Lyman, a convicted felon, a man with a lengthy criminal record, including more than a decade behind bars for a manslaughter conviction back in 2001. To the officers on scene, he was just another traffic stop. But in reality, the situation was about to turn into something far more dangerous.
This is how I control you. Hands behind your back, lean forward. Lean forward. Get your hands on your head now.
Video released more than a year later shows the stop unfold in detail. Webster approaches Lyman and issues commands, telling him to put his hands up. Not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. On the surface, it looks like compliance is coming. But when Webster moves in to cuff him, things change quickly. Webster gets one of Lyman's hands restrained, the left hand, but the right never leaves his side. Lyman complains of pain, twisting and shouting, claiming that something is wrong. It looks like resistance, but it also feels unpredictable, like he is stalling for time.
No, you need to stay right there.
No, sir, no. You're not listening, sir. This hurts.
Give me your other hand. Give me your other hand.
Oh, shit, it burns. It burns.
Have you to step it up. He's wanting the 32.
Then, in an instant, it happens. At point-blank range, with one hand still cuffed, Lyman pulls a gun and fires. 4 shots ring out almost immediately, followed by 2 more. The close distance leaves Webster no chance to react. The body camera records the chaos, and Webster's own voice breaks through the sound of gunfire as he calls out on his radio. Shots fired. The city is thrown into high alert. A 4-hour manhunt begins. Patrol units flood the streets. Surveillance video captures the sheer scale of the response. Helicopters scan from above, ground units search every alley and street corner, and officers close in on a small shed where they believe Lyman is hiding. When they finally surround it, the fugitive is taken into custody. Inside interrogation rooms later, cameras show another side of the suspect. Lyman is calm, almost detached. As task force agents take his DNA, he remarks that it should already be on file. Then, without prompting, he begins to speak. He tells officers that he is sorry, that if they ever see Webster's family, they should let them know he regrets what happened. He insists he does not even remember pulling the trigger, saying the moment feels like a blur. Number 5. On February 4th, 2021, New Mexico State Police Officer Darian Jarrett was working patrol along Interstate 10, east of Deming. That morning, he was asked to assist Homeland Security with a traffic stop. The vehicle in question, a white pickup truck, had been flagged. The driver was suspected of transporting narcotics across the state. That driver was 39-year-old Omar Felix Cueva, a man with a long, violent criminal history, someone who had spent years moving drugs in and out of prison, in and out of law enforcement's radar. But on this day, he wasn't just another stop on the highway. He was armed, prepared, and willing to kill.
Afternoon, sir. My name's Darian Jarrett. I'm with New Mexico State Police. The reason for the stop is your window tint's a little too dark. Yeah. You mind if I open the door?
The stop began like any other. Officer Jarrett pulled the truck over on the shoulder. He approached the passenger side window. Body camera footage shows him speaking calmly, asking Cueva to step out of the vehicle. Cueva agreed. He opened the driver's side door and began to exit. But what happened next was not routine.
Hey, real quick. You have a firearm, buddy? Yeah. No, I see it. Waist. Do me a favor. You mind if I take it off you for my safety?
Instead of complying, Cueva emerged holding an AR-15 style rifle. He raised it instantly and fired. The first shot forced Jarrett backwards. More rounds followed, striking him as he tried to retreat. The officer collapsed near the back of the pickup. Cueva didn't stop. He walked around the truck, stood over Jarrett, and fired again at point-blank range. The final round struck him in the head.
All right, hold on. All right, let's go to my vehicle, okay? Come on. Oh, shit!
The brutality of the ambush was immediate and devastating. Passing drivers on the interstate had no idea what they had just witnessed. A Homeland Security agent who had been trailing Cueva pulled up seconds later. He saw Jarrett lying on the pavement. He radioed in the emergency. Officer down. Within minutes, a statewide manhunt was underway. Cueva jumped back into his truck and fled eastbound. Sirens filled the highway. State police, local deputies, Border Patrol agents, and federal officers all joined in the chase. The pursuit stretched for miles, speeds pushing well past 100. Along the way, Cueva leaned out with his rifle, firing at the vehicles behind him. Officers responded with gunfire of their own. Spike strips were thrown down. At one point, a pit maneuver was attempted. Nothing stopped him. The truck tore down the interstate, bullets flying, traffic scattering out of the way. The chase came to an end near Las Cruces. Cueva, cornered by multiple units, stepped out of his truck shooting. Officers opened fire. The air filled with gunfire in both directions. Within seconds, Cueva was struck multiple times and dropped to the ground. He was killed at the scene. One officer was hit during the exchange, but survived. The others walked away shaken but alive. What had started as a simple traffic stop had turned into one of the deadliest encounters New Mexico law enforcement had ever seen. And for Officer Darian Jarrett, just 28 years old, the stop was his last call.